The cameras flash, the podium lights burn, and the mayor of Las Vegas, Shelley Berkeley, looks straight into the crowd and admits what no leader of this city has dared to say.
We love you, we need you, and we miss you.
For a place that was built on the promise that the party never ends, those words strike like a thunderclap. The city that turned neon lights into a global symbol of escape is now begging for help. And the shock doesn't end there. Behind her plea hides a number that rattles the very foundation of Las Vegas. $3.6 billion gone, drained out of the city's lifeline in just 1 year. That money wasn't lost at the roulette tables. It was lost because Canadian tourists, the most loyal international visitors Vegas has ever had, are no longer showing up. Their absence has already wiped out an estimated 43,000 jobs, and the trend shows no signs of reversing. In June 2025, the city counted 350,000 fewer visitors than the same time last year. Hotel occupancy plunged by double digits, entire towers of rooms sitting dark. Airlines report devastating drops. Air Canada flights to Vegas down 33%, WestJet down 31%, and Flair Airlines nearly erased, collapsing 62%. These aren't seasonal fluctuations. This is the unraveling of the most dependable market Las Vegas ever had. And yet, the numbers are only half the story. What shocks insiders most is how deep the fear runs inside City Hall. Mayor Berkeley confesses she doesn't even understand why Nevada has suddenly been branded a sanctuary state by the Department of Justice. The city has received no explanation, no guidance. Only a label that now hangs over Vegas like a sword, threatening more than $100 million in federal funding. The crisis has already arrived. And here's the truth, no one wants to say out loud, if Las Vegas can't restore trust both in its safety and in its affordability, the collapse won't stop at the Strip. It will spread into neighborhoods, businesses, and homes. What is happening in Las Vegas is more than a tourism slump. It is a warning about the hidden cost of living in America and how quickly the dream can turn into a burden when trust disappears. Las Vegas has always prided itself on being indestructible, the desert city that could outlast recessions, pandemics, and even its own scandals. But the numbers spilling out now show a vulnerability no one expected. In June alone, visitor volume fell by more than 11% compared to last year, the sharpest mid-year decline in more than a decade. That means 350,000 fewer people walking the Strip, leaving hotel towers with entire wings unlit. The slump reaches deeper than hotel occupancy. Average daily room rates, which had climbed relentlessly through 2023 and 2024, are now falling. Revenue per available room, the single most important metric for casino executives, has slipped for months, erasing much of the post-pandemic recovery. Even the weekend peaks, once a guarantee, show gaps. Empty blackjack tables and half-filled theaters send a message louder than any balance sheet. Demand is breaking. Airline data confirms what the casinos fear. Canadian carriers that once brought a steady flow of leisure travelers are cutting capacity at levels unseen in modern Vegas history. Air Canada down by a third. WestJet close behind. Flair Airlines nearly gone. This isn't a seasonal slowdown. It is a rupture in a market that was once the city's most reliable pipeline of international money. Economists warn that every single percentage point drop in international arrivals costs Las Vegas tens of millions of dollars, and the downward curve is no longer temporary. For the first half of 2025, overall visitation is off by more than 7%. That might sound like a small number, but for an economy where 31% of GDP is tied directly to tourism, it's the kind of decline that can fracture the foundation. Behind the neon and glamour, this is a city running on fragile math. Confusion spreads faster than the headlines can explain. At City Hall, the word sanctuary suddenly appears in a federal notice, branding Nevada as if it had chosen a political identity no one in the state ever voted on. Mayor Shelley Berkeley admits she has no clarity from Washington, no phone call, no briefing, Nothing to explain why Las Vegas now carries a label that could cost it more than $100 million in federal support. She shrugs before reporters, repeating the phrase, "No leader wants to say, I don't know." The uncertainty is almost as dangerous as the decline in visitors. Departments that rely on federal dollars for housing programs, transportation, and public safety whisper about budgets being frozen. The mayor speaks of a fear factor rippling through the city government, a tremor that has nothing to do with slot machines and everything to do with survival. The police are caught in the middle, cooperating with federal agencies when required by law, but refusing to act as immigration officers themselves. It is a balancing act that satisfies no one and only deepens the sense of instability. For tourists watching from abroad, the optics are poisonous. Canadians, already hesitant about costs and safety, now scroll through headlines about political fights and funding threats. What they see is not the city of glittering lights, but a place tangled in uncertainty, a place where even the mayor appears lost. And when trust is the currency that keeps people boarding planes and booking rooms, this kind of confusion spends faster than cash.
International travel is way down. People are not coming to the United States. We have a rather large market with the Canadians. It's gone from, a faucet to a drip.
Canadian travelers were once the heartbeat of Las Vegas, crossing the border in steady waves to fill hotel rooms, taxi lines, and show seats. Now that flow has slowed to a trickle, and their absence is impossible to hide. Airline cuts are only part of the story. At the border, car trips from Canada into the United States dropped by more than a third this past summer, a collapse not seen in decades. The silence left behind is measured not just in empty rooms, but in vanished paychecks. What makes this shift explosive is the anger fueling it. Social media threads from Canadians drip with frustration. "Zero chance of me crossing that border. I'll never set foot in the US again." Others write that the culture feels hostile, unsafe, and politically toxic. Some point directly to the last election, reminding Americans, "You brought this on yourselves." Surveys confirm the sentiment isn't just online venting. 6 out of 10 Canadians now say they avoid trips to the United States altogether. 4 out of 10 have already redirected their vacation money to destinations at home or across the Atlantic, Nova Scotia, Quebec. Even small towns in Prince Edward Island see a bump, paid for with dollars that once would have gone to the Strip. For Las Vegas, the loss is staggering. Last year alone, Canadian visitors spent more than $3.5 billion in southern Nevada, money that supported tens of thousands of jobs. That spending isn't simply delayed. It has been rerouted, and the new habits are taking root. Photos of beaches in the Maritimes now replace snapshots of the Mojave on Canadian social feeds, a subtle reminder that loyalty, once broken, is difficult to win back. Even the giants of the Strip are showing cracks. Resorts World, once proud of charging premium fees for every service, has now dropped parking and resort charges altogether. Caesars Entertainment is bundling 2 nights with all taxes included and throwing in $200 of food credit, all for just $300 flat. A year ago, such deals would have been laughed out of the boardroom. Today, they are lifelines. Behind the scenes, the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority has approved a $3.25 million blitz aimed squarely at the markets that are vanishing: Canada, Germany, South Korea. Billboards, digital campaigns, glossy images of pool parties and glittering casino floors promise safety, value, and a return to the Vegas experience. The tone, however, is more urgent than celebratory. It is less about selling a dream and more about holding the line against collapse. Casino executives openly admit what they once denied: the downturn is not cyclical, it is structural. They speak of missing Canadians as a significant piece of the puzzle and quietly refer to international politics, cultural hostility, and trade tensions as the invisible walls keeping visitors away. Within union halls, the phrase "Trump slump" has taken hold, a shorthand for a crisis that goes beyond airfare or exchange rates. It is political, cultural, and deeply personal. The result is a Strip caught in a delicate balancing act. cut prices too far and revenue implodes, hold prices firm and rooms remain dark. For the first time in years, confidence in the Vegas formula has cracked, and no one is certain how to stitch it back together. On Fremont Street, the trouble is impossible to disguise. A family-run diner that once served tourists until 2 in the morning now shuts its doors before sunset because there simply aren't enough customers. Down the block, a souvenir shop owner who used to see 50 shoppers before noon counts just 7 on a Saturday. Wedding chapels, once buzzing with bachelor parties and spontaneous vows, report bookings cut in half. The silence stretches across the service industry. Bartenders polish glasses in front of empty stools. Rideshare drivers sit scrolling through their phones, waiting for rides that never come. Magicians and small stage performers cancel weekday shows, unable to justify the cost of opening the curtain to half a crowd. The Strip's mega resorts can slash fees and bankroll ad campaigns, but the small businesses that give Las Vegas its texture burn through savings and wonder how much longer they can hold out. The pain is quiet, almost invisible to outsiders, but devastating to those who live it. Each missing tourist is another rent payment delayed, another paycheck cut short, another family dipping into savings to survive. For locals who built their lives on the assumption that Las Vegas would never slow down, the sudden stillness feels like betrayal. Locals feel the weight in places far from the neon glow. At neighborhood meetings, parents whisper about after-school programs that may vanish if city budgets shrink. Seniors worry that bus routes or meal deliveries could be the next services on the chopping block. Even public pools, once seen as untouchable, are mentioned as possible cuts. The city's reliance on tourism revenue has always been an open secret, but now the cracks show in daily life. Rumors swirl of federal dollars disappearing under the vague sanctuary label, but no one knows what will actually be lost. The mayor's repeated, "I don't know," echoes in the minds of residents who want answers. What they see instead is uncertainty stacked on top of economic decline. For families already stretched thin by inflation and rising rents, the possibility of fewer city services feels like another bill they can't afford to pay. Hourly workers sense the danger most immediately. Every slow week on the Strip means fewer shifts, and with fewer shifts come difficult choices: groceries or utilities, gas or rent. The safety net that helped Vegas survive past downturns might not be there this time. Trust in leadership is thinning, and the question becomes not just whether tourists will return, but whether the city can still protect its own people when the money dries up. June 2025 leaves no room for doubt. Visitor counts are down more than 11% year over year. Airline traffic from Canada has collapsed by as much as 62%. Hotel occupancy has slipped, room rates are falling, and revenue per available room, the lifeblood of the Strip, is in retreat. Mayor Shelley Berkeley has warned openly of a crisis, admitting the city could lose more than $100 million in federal funding while already bleeding billions in lost tourism. The industry has responded with desperate discounts and international ad campaigns, but 60% of Canadians now say they are avoiding trips to the United States entirely. Their money is flowing to Nova Scotia, to Quebec, to Europe, anywhere but Las Vegas. For a city where 31% of the regional economy depends on tourism, this is not a slowdown. It is a fracture. Las Vegas is not dead, but its survival now hinges on more than bright lights and cheap packages. It depends on restoring trust in safety, trust in value, trust in the idea that coming here is worth it. Without that, the collapse won't stay confined to the casinos. It will ripple through neighborhoods, schools, and homes, exposing once again the hidden cost of living in America. And so the question lingers like neon buzzing in the desert night. Can Las Vegas rebuild the faith it has lost? Or is the city's luck, after decades of defying gravity, finally running out?